The Rainmaker's Daughter. Chapter 1, The Weight of Expectation, 1912. The sun over the vast arid lands of Kenya in 1912 was a punishing, relentless god. For the Maasai people, the rhythms of life, the movement of cattle, the greening of the plains, the very pulse of existence depended on the rain. And in the lineage of the Olkarkar clan, that rain was traditionally coaxed and summoned by Sankale, the revered and ancient rainmaker. Sankale's daughter, Nashipai, carried the silent weight of this legacy. Her name meant the one who has arrived, and from birth she was trained to observe the clouds, interpret the flight of birds, and understand the subtle shifting moods of the dry earth. She was a woman of fierce beauty and responsibility, yet she felt the crushing burden of the current catastrophic drought. Day after day she watched her father's rituals, the chants, the sacrifices, the elaborate dances, fail. The expectation of her people was a physical ache in her chest. One shimmering afternoon, a stranger walked into the Nkong village. He was not of their clan, his clothes were traveler's leather, and he carried nothing but a carved wooden staff and a bundle of intricately decorated beads. He introduced himself as Kito, a wandering storyteller and artisan. Kito did not speak with grand pronouncements or boast of lineage. He spoke through his beads. Each bead, painstakingly carved from acacia or sandalwood, held a single story, a legend of a distant mountain, the song of a river that had dried, the history of a great hunt. He was a collector of memories, a man who found worth not in the accumulation of cattle, but in the retention of truth. Nashipai was immediately captivated. The elders were wary of the wanderer, but Kito offered the village children water from his own meager supply, and in return, offered his stories. Chapter 2, The Bead and the Cloud. Kito and Nashipai began to spend hours together beneath the blistering shade of the few remaining thorn trees. She taught him the precise musical names for every shade of dust. He taught her the complex, multi-layered narratives woven into his beads. "This one," he said, holding up a bead carved with swirling patterns, "is the story of the river that refused to run to the sea. It loved the valley too much." Nashipai ran a finger over the carving. "My father's prayers are like that river, Kito. They run nowhere. The earth is empty. My people look at me, the Rainmaker's daughter, and see only more dry dust." "No," Kito countered, his dark eyes warm and serious. "They look at you and they see the potential of the sky. The rain is not in the ritual, Nashipai. It is in the tension between the earth and the heavens. It is the need that breaks the sky open." He gifted her a bead he had carved just for her. It was smooth, dark wood with two simple interlocking spirals. "This is the story of two hearts recognizing their shared thirst," he explained. As the weeks turned into months, the drought tightened its grip. The cattle began to weaken. Despair settled over the Nkong like a heavy pall. Sankale, exhausted and humiliated by his failed prophecies, withdrew into his hut. The people began the desperate final prayer dances, imploring the sky. Chapter 3, The Kiss of Thunder. The desperation peaked on the day the first dust storm arrived. It was not rain, but a terrifying, blinding red cloud of sand and grit. Whipped up by violent winds, the sky turned an angry, coppery orange, blotting out the sun. The village scattered, rushing to shelter themselves from the choking dust. Nashipai was caught near the edge of the Nkang. She stumbled, pulling her wrap over her face, feeling the grit tear at her skin. She was terrified, convinced that the world was ending not with a life-giving flood, but with a smothering wave of earth. Through the swirling red tempest, Kito suddenly appeared. He moved with a practiced ease, his leather tunic offering little protection. Yet his face was calm. He reached her, grabbed her hand, and pulled her toward the shelter of a dilapidated, abandoned cattle pen. They collapsed against the rough wooden fence, side by side, panting and covered in red dust. The air was electric, charged with static, wind, and the sound of distant, booming thunder, a sound that only intensified the dread, as it brought no accompanying moisture. Nashipai looked at Kito, his face smeared with dust, his eyes intense and clear. She was no longer Sankale's daughter. She was simply a woman, overwhelmed by fear and an unfamiliar, powerful yearning. In that moment of complete existential vulnerability, all the unspoken stories, all the shared secrets, and all the suppressed love burst forth. She reached up, pulled his head down, and their lips met. a kiss of sheer, desperate relief, tasted of dust and the metallic scent of static electricity. The moment their lips touched, the world changed. A sound, not of thunder but of liquid falling, replaced the shriek of the wind. A few fat, perfect drops splattered onto their faces and the dusty ground. Then a torrent. The sky, finally broken by the sheer, accumulated tension of their shared longing, split open. The rain was violent, cleansing, and overwhelmingly loud. It washed the red dust from the air, from their clothes, and from the parched earth around them. It was a baptismal flood, falling on the two of them as they stood, soaking wet, laughing beneath the downpour. Nashipai pushed her wet hair back and leaned into him, the sound of the rain drowning out the world. She leaned close to his ear, her voice full of triumphant awe. "You brought the rain," she teased, tapping the wooden bead he had given her. He smiled, a wide, true smile of pure happiness. "No," he corrected her, his voice tender. "You were the rain all along, Nashipai. I just showed the sky where it was hiding." Chapter 4, The Legend of the Clouds. When they returned to the village, soaked and radiant, the drought had ended. Sankale, witnessing the miraculous transformation of the land and his daughter's undeniable joy, made no claim to the rain. He simply looked at Quito, the wandering storyteller, and nodded once, the acceptance of a powerful new force in his family. They were married soon after, with the blessings of a grateful clan. Quito did not cease his wandering, but now his path always circled back to Nashipai. He continued to carve his stories into beads, but the most beautiful, the central bead of his entire collection, was now the simple double spiral bead he had given his wife. Their love became legend, told around every freshly lit fire. Nashipai, the Rainmaker's daughter, found the man who carried the clouds in his heart, proving that sometimes the greatest magic is not found in an old man's ritual, but in the simple, sudden breaking of a powerful human bond. The story ensured that whenever a sudden, unexpected shower appeared on a dry, sunny day, the Maasai would smile, saying that Nashipai and Quito must have just shared a kiss.